Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers Inspiration. I'm your host, Harriet Cole. Very honored to be with you today. How are you? How do you answer that question? How are you? You know, we often say, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm good. You know, it's a knee jerk that we just respond with something positive, which, by the way, is good in the sense of affirming the positive. But I'm asking you for real. How are you? How are you feeling? How are you feeling about yourself, about your life, about your choices? How are you today if you check in with yourself and share with yourself how are you doing? I think it's good for us to check in frequently to answer that question. You know, how are you? How are you doing? And when you need to plug in order to fill your cup, in order to bring all the energy that you need into your being, how do you do that? Or do you do what many people do, which is to go to this one or that one, this friend, that friend, a spouse, a partner, someone you love, say, can you fill my cup? Can I plug in with you so that I can get my energy, get my spirit, get my self together? Do you do that? And if you do, and most of us do at least sometimes, how well does that work? How consistently does it work if you reach out to others to help you to feel whole, to help you to feel loved, to help you to feel full? I know it works sometimes, but what happens when it doesn't work? What happens when you're like, I wanted so and so to help me to feel better, but they disappointed me? And then you get mad at the other person because that person did not do for you what you needed at that moment. And then rather than even considering that you have responsibility in that, you point that finger and you're mad. See, I knew it. I'm always there for so-and-so. And now when I need them, they're not there for me. Have you ever done that? If you tell yourself the truth, I'm going to guess that you have done it before. That there has been a time, if not 5, 10, many times, that you have reached out to someone else to help to make you whole, to help to make you feel loved, to help to just give you that big hug that we do need in humanity. Like human beings need to hug and touch and love each other. We do. And if we rely on other people too much for that, we are bound to disappointment. We're bound to experience that. We're bound to stumble and then often blame and place blame in the wrong area. You know, we put blame on this one and that one and that one, when the truth of the matter is people cannot fully fill your cup. They can't. So it's a delicate balance that we need to figure out. Yes, we need people. And honestly, what I have learned over time is that we need ourselves even more. We need to figure out how to turn the lens inward Maybe you start, I talk a lot about looking in the mirror. Maybe you start in the mirror, and rather than looking outward for other people who may be able to fill your cup, look in the mirror, look at yourself, smile at yourself, tell yourself, yeah, I love you. I support you. I believe in you. And today, as I was contemplating what I wanted to address with you, the word confidence kept coming up. How can we really have confidence in who we are and the lives that we want to live and our capabilities? Where does that come from? I've been teaching a course on executive presence. And as we've been exploring what executive presence means, so much of it has to do with embodying confidence, really stepping fully into who we believe we are, what we know, what we can do, what we are capable of, and understanding where we're headed. And when you're in alignment, truly in alignment, then you exude executive presence. You exude that confidence that tells you and everyone around you that you are capable of whatever comes before you. So where does that confidence come from? Sometimes I think the interplay with an audience helps us. So if you think about if you've ever had to give a speech or stood up in a meeting and talked, when the people in the meeting or in the gathering are not really checking for you, when they're bored, they're looking down, they wish that you would be finished, it can be deflating, right? It can feel like, ugh, they are not feeling me. And suddenly I'm like a flower that didn't get any water and I shrivel and wither away. This has happened to every public speaker at least once. When you just don't connect with your audience and you just lose that confidence, and it can happen very quickly. Now, also, a seasoned speaker can get up there and find the one person who will engage with them so that even if most people are not paying attention, looking away, the electricity is ignited with that one, the one that you find. And how it is ignited is because there's something within you that is ignited and that reaches out to them. So it's this covenant that occurs, but it starts with you. And when you recognize that it starts with you, that's when you have your power. That's when you have the opportunity to be in charge of the moment, to electrify the moment, to engage the moment, even if the audience isn't great. Okay, so what does that have to do with? It has to do with your relationship with yourself. If you have confidence in yourself, then it attracts others. It really does. It works. If you have confidence in yourself, it attracts others. If you do not, it repels others. If you're standing in front of the room and you won't look up and you're afraid and your voice is quiet or timid and you feel like, I don't even know why I'm here in the first place, that's how people feel too, because that's the energy that you are giving off, that uncomfortable energy that says, I don't belong here. If you tell yourself you don't belong here, trust you don't. But if you believe in you that whatever space you enter, you deserve to be there. And in order for that to be true, you have to pay attention and know what space are you entering? What are the dimensions of that space? What are the expectations of that space? How can you enter that space appropriately so that you walk in a welcoming way and you are received in a welcoming way because you paid attention and understood how to enter? You know how they say sometimes people act like a bull in a china shop? Those are people who are not paying attention. The bull in the china shop is the person who comes in and knocks everything down. Well, if you are paying attention, if you are observing the moment first, if you are placing yourself there and looking around to see how can I best fit into this experience, into this moment. If you do that, if you take the time to do that, then even if it's the narrowest pathway, you're able to navigate it with grace because you paid attention. When you don't pay attention, you don't serve yourself and you don't serve others. And so, what does this have to do with learning to love yourself? If you think about how you care for yourself, how you tend to you, and you think about that first, how do you take care of your basic needs? How do you take care of your desires? How do you keep yourself whole? And like when we first started, fully tended to. So, fully plugged in. The cup is full. You feel satiated. When you do that, when you take care of yourself in that way, what happens is there's an ease that comes. You're not seeking something outside of you. You may walk into a situation where you are seeking, but it's not desperate. You may have needs, we all do, but they aren't so urgent and desperate that you somehow step out of yourself in order to meet them. Because, by the way, that doesn't work anyway. One of the most unappealing behaviors that a person can have is that of desperation. When you are cloaked in desperation, you repel others. When you are cloaked in confidence, you attract others. So there's a quote that I found, and I want to share it with you. It's from Oscar Wilde. When he says, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." Hear that. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. Did you ever think of that? Did you think that you were having a romance with yourself? I was looking at a movie the other day, and there was a woman looking to cheer up two little girls. And she was sitting in their room helping them put on makeup. And they were having so much fun and putting it on all crazy and just playing. And the one girl who's about 8 years old said, "Well, how do you know when it's enough?" And the woman said, "Well, it's when you feel like it's enough because you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for someone else." That was just the sweetest moment because we live in a culture where people wear makeup. But this has been since the beginning of time. And we do it in part for our outer beauty, what we're sharing with others. But as she said in this film, when you do it for yourself and you're just delighting yourself, then what happens? Then you have joy, you with you. And Oscar Wilde says, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. So think about it. What do you like? What do you appreciate in a romantic relationship? I want you to think about that. Maybe write it down for yourself. What do you appreciate in a romantic relationship? What do you want? How do you want to be tended to? How do you want to be treated? What would you like to happen in the course of a day? You want to get a call, you want to get flowers, you want to take a walk, you want to have a fine meal, you want to dress up and do something special. What does romance look like to you? You want to talk about your day, you want a hug. What do you want? Whatever those things are, can you give those to yourself? And do you? When you feel that you just want that special TLC, do you ever offer it to you? Like taking a bath. Oh, it's one of my favorite things to do, and I don't do it enough. But that is tending to you. How often do you tend to yourself? Oscar Wilde says it is the beginning of a lifelong romance to love yourself, to put you first, to tend to you. So you're exhausted at the end of the day. What would be the most romantic thing you could do for yourself? That bath. Light a candle. Do you have your favorite candle? If not, make sure you get that favorite candle so that when you come in the house, you can light it and that fragrance wafts through your home. Is it cuddling up with a book? If so, how often do you do that? How often do you decide that you are going to engage in the way that serves you, in the way that you believe you deserve? And so, looking at Oscar Wilde's quote, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. How many people are bitter, feel lonely, feel disconnected because there is no one doing that for them? I just talked to a woman this weekend who was telling me she was lamenting her state. She was being jealous of someone who just announced that she has this incredible love in her life, and she was feeling jealousy because she doesn't have that in hers, and just lamenting her state. Now, we know comparing ourselves to others will only cause us trouble, and yet we do it. It wasn't for me to say, stop doing that, because that's only, twisting the knife at a time that won't work. But I listened. I listened, and then I reminded her of things that she does right now that bring her joy. And she's like, yeah, yeah, but. And I get it. I get the yeah, yeah, but. You want something that you don't have. But what do you have? You have yourself. How can you tend to yourself so that you experience joy? How can you approach tending to yourself as a lifelong romance? I love dressing up. I dress up for me. I went to visit a friend a couple months ago, and I was dressed up because I like to dress up. And she said, "Why are you all dressed up?" I don't dress up. I dress up for me, was the answer that I gave, because it's true. I feel good when I dress up. And so I do it for myself. I don't do it because somebody else wants me to or not. Now, of course, if there's a dress code, so to speak, it's something, I'll make sure that I'm in alignment with that, because that helps to navigate easily. But I dress up because it makes me happy. I don't dress up so that somebody's going to look at me and say, "Oh, she looks good." That is a very nice side effect, which I love. And I grew up in a household where my parents were always styling. So we learned how to dress up. It was something that gave my parents great joy, gives me and my sisters great joy, me and my husband great joy, my daughter great joy. It's part of our family DNA. But we don't do it for other people so much as we do it for ourselves. And this is what I'm getting at. Yes, there are guidelines, there are rules, there are expectations as we move through life. But why not start with the expectation for yourself? What makes you happy? What shows you that you love yourself? My sister Stephanie teases me because I absolutely love cashmere. It's my favorite fabric. And so I have summer weight cashmere, I have winter cashmere, every weight, because I love cloaking myself in that very, very soft material. I've told you before, I have another friend who says, give yourself a hug. For me, that cashmere hug is me wrapping that around myself. This notion of you caressing you, of you giving yourself what you need and feeling good about it, not feeling like, oh, I'm doing this for myself because no one else will do it for me. No, because that if you don't do it for yourself and you so desperately need it and you're not getting it, I told you, desperation is a repellent. Even when somebody is in your life who wants to offer you that love and tenderness and support, if you show up desperate, you're too clingy, you're hugging too hard, they back up. They don't want that. Nobody wants it. You don't want it. So don't do it. Hug you first. Wrap yourself in cashmere. Put yourself in that bath of Epsom salts and oils and whatever it takes. What do you like? Go for that long run. Everybody likes something different. I'm just giving you my examples. You know, I haven't done it as much recently. I had a leg injury, but I love walking in Central Park. It is gorgeous. And in New York City, you don't get the chance to be in nature that much, but being in nature is refreshing. And that's another way that you can choose to love yourself. Get out of your house, take a walk. Get out of your house and move. For me, that walk in Central Park, it's good for the body, it's good for the spirit. I don't have to do it with someone else. I can if I want. Just do it. That bike ride, that run. What can you do to move your being and engage your being with the fullness of the moment? I'm mentioning all these things because we don't think of them. In those tender moments when we just feel like, oh, you feel sad, you feel alone, you feel disconnected, you feel like you don't have anywhere to go, you feel like you just want to pull the covers back over your head. These moments happen. And for at different stages in our lives, they happen more than we would like. And I want to say to you, when they happen, don't succumb to them. Tell yourself, I love you. Tell yourself, I appreciate you. Look in the mirror and smile at yourself. No matter how you look, if you look sad, blow yourself a kiss. If you are frustrated, take a breath, a deep breath. If you feel disconcerted, just stretch and allow your body to be fully present. You have to take an action. You cannot just give in to whatever that emotion is that's pulling you down. It is a choice. You have to make the choice to stand up, to re-engage, and to tell yourself, I love you. Oscar Wilde, what did he say? He said that it is an act. Let me find it. I just had it here. He says that it is an act of love and romance, of lifelong romance, loving yourself. That you should think of it as a lifelong romance. I love that. So, what will you do romantically for yourself? Get yourself some flowers. Treat yourself to a lovely meal. Treat yourself well. Be kind to you. If you need rest, get rest. I called my sister yesterday, and she'd been traveling all over the place. And she said, okay, I can't talk right now. I'm just resting myself. How often do you rest yourself? That's different from crawling under the covers and hiding. How often do you just allow yourself to be, to rest, to rejuvenate? Ask yourself, it's a serious question. It's not a rhetorical question. If you think about the last week when you went to bed, did you go to bed at a time that allowed you to rest yourself enough for the next day? Did you stay up late working, watching what my daddy called the idiot box, binge watching something? Just did you use your time well and give yourself enough time to rest your body, your mind, your spirit? Very often the answer to that is no. For most of us, we just go, 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 go. And then often you can wake up tired and not fully rested so that you can reset. So, when I started this broadcast talking about plugging in, part of that plugging in is resting so that your body can recharge itself. But do you love yourself enough to do that? There have been plenty of studies that say we do not get enough sleep, basic sleep these days. Many, many, many thousands of people are sleep deprived on a daily basis. I'm one of them sometimes. Well, Is that loving yourself if you don't give yourself enough rest, enough sleep so that your body can be ready for the next day? That says that you're not in alignment. Because if you're in alignment, then you are bringing your body along with your mind and your spirit. And you're all coming together as one. You're not fighting. And your body is not doesn't have to say, oh, give me a couple more hours because you gave those hours. So this notion of loving yourself and of a lifelong romance, that's active. It means you don't just say I love myself and I check that box off and now I'm good. No, it means you do something for you every day. I hope that as I keep saying this, it's registering on a deeper and deeper level for you. What can you do for yourself every day that is tending to you, that is loving you, even in the busiest of times? So I'm famous for my lists. My lists used to just have work-related things on them. If there are 25 things I have to do for work, I write them all down so that I can check them off. I still do that. But I also have lists for myself, for tending to myself, like drink water. Because I'll drink my coffee, but I don't always remember to drink enough water. How about you? If I need to remind myself, I'll put it on the list. If I need to walk, I put it on the list. I put things on the list to remind me to take care of me. Because when I do it and I check it off, I feel good about myself. Like, yeah, I loved myself today. I did something that showed me that I count, that showed me that I matter to me. And when you do that, it actually attracts other people to support you, which is the opposite of the desperation. If you're, will you do this for me? Will you do this with me? If you do this for me, then I'm going to be able to do it. That's kind of pathetic and desperate and doesn't last. You can have accountability buddies. That's different. Let's do this together. Let's support each other. That's okay. But it's even better if it starts simply with you. You get up in the morning and you say, yes, I'm committing to me. And here is my one act of love for myself today. Declare it, write it down, and do it. And maybe you can add another. Maybe there's a morning, afternoon, and evening act that you can do for you. What would that be? Think about it. I've got drink water. I've got move because I sit in front of this computer too many hours. So I need to move. And I've got call my mama because I'm grateful she's here. She's 94 years young, and connecting with her brings her joy and me. What's on your list? It could be anything. But if you put things on your list and then you check them off, you can put a little heart by it. I did it. I did this for me. It brings you joy on the inside. This can be part of your lifelong romance with yourself. That you make the choice to love you. You make the choice to tend to you. I also light my candles every day, every single day, because it brings me joy. What brings you joy? What can you do to create that lifelong romance with yourself? I want to tell you that if you figure it out, you are going to be so happy, and you deserve it. So as you walk into this day and this week, promise yourself that you'll do something to show yourself that you love you every day. You're worth it. Until next time, everyone, have a great day and make it count. Namaste.